Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, thank you very much for inviting me also, and you also for coming, participating in Gita Jayanti, the advent of Bhagavad Gita. So I don't know what to really speak on. When I come on these type of occasions, I just come and see what you want to know about the Bhagavad Gita in general. How many of you have read the Bhagavad Gita from cover to cover? Some of you? Can you tell me some of their names at the back there? So have you all read Bhagavad Gita?
Yes, Prabhu.
All of you, not all of you read. All of you read. You know, everybody is not telling me the yes. Have you read Bhagavad Gita? Yes. What was the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita? What do you conclude in the end after reading it? Didn't conclude anything, huh? Huh?
Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay, that's good. Anybody else? What is the conclusion?
Basically, we learn the righteousness of life.
Righteousness. Anything else? Huh? You have to read it a few more times.
People say it's a manual to life.
Yeah. Which chapter you like best? Anybody like a particular chapter? Good. Chapter 9. Anybody else? Y'all in the back? Vinesh? Never thought about it. The thing is, Bhagavad Gita, yeah, you have to read it many times. You know, you have to read it many times. But sure enough, you know, understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead is just half the answer. The other is to surrender. See? And that many people may not do. In general, many people don't do that, surrender to the Supreme Lord. Because Krishna is chalked out plans for everybody. Whatever you like. Bhagavad Gita is a verse, towards the end. Krishna, after speaking Bhagavad Gita, he's not forcing Arjuna to surrender to him. He's not doing that. He's saying you can do what you want to do. That's a good verse, right? For most of you. And you can just do what you want to do. So he doesn't force. And that's the key to the Bhagavad Gita. And you can't force somebody to love you. And Bhagavad Gita, it runs into like 18 chapters, 700 verses, spoken in 48 minutes to an hour. And Krishna is speaking on a battlefield, to Arjuna. So all the problems and everything are things that we experience here in this world. So I thought I'll just say that. Is there any particular question that you have that you feel you'd like to ask? So I'll start off with that, and then we get to that chapter. Or we can talk on that chapter. Is there any particular question? Yes.
Rukmani had a question. Rukmani.
Yes. Oh, that's a nice question. question. Why the other?
Like we pray to Krishna, we pray to Ram, we pray to Sita, and all the other like Mother Durga. Why are they called demigods?
Somebody's talking about. Why are they called devatas? Actually, the word demi-god is an English word. But in the Vedic tradition, in the Indian tradition, it's not demigods, it's devatas. Devi and devatas. That's how we refer to them. But for people to understand in English, in the Western world, we use that word. But that word is not a good word to use. Because it's like gives like a position that's lower.
Yes.
You feel like that. Which deity are you talking about?
I'm talking about all in general.
No, but which deity you attach to? I want to understand.
I'm attached to Hanuman and
Durga Mataji. So Durga is supreme.
He's asking the supreme way because it corresponds with Krishna's life also.
Okay. No, it's no. Anyway, Durga. We can talk about it. Let me explain it from the Gita, right? Because we're talking about the Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna says in the Gita. So for demigods, we replace it by devatas, and we don't say demigods. So Krishna says in the I'll just read the English for time's purposes. On the 7th chapter, text 21, he says, I am in everyone's heart as a super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some devata or demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. How that sounds? Very good. So because God has given independence to everybody, so he's not interfering with your independence. He's not going to do that. He's just going to allow you to do what you want, as I explained. It's a question of love. So from within, Krishna is seated there as the super soul. And from him he's making your faith steady to that particular deity. Although he's supreme. He's not going to force you, and he is doing that. It says here, God has given independence to everyone. Therefore, if a person desires to have material enjoyment and wants very sincerely to have such facilities from the material demigod, the Supreme Lord as the super soul in everyone's heart understands and gives facilities to such person as the Supreme Father of all living entities. Just like Krishna is the Supreme Father. Right? He says, Aham bija pradapita. I am the seed-giving father for all living entities. So if he is the seed-giving father for all living entities, he is making provision for every living entity, for everybody. For example, like in your family, well, I hope all of you are vegetarians. If you're not, but still, you have children who may not be vegetarian. And then, one child is a vegetarian and the other is not a vegetarian. Do you make provisions for both of them? Yes or no? Yes. So if you as an ordinary person is making provision, why would not God do that? So he makes your faith steady. But we have to understand, what do you want from that particular deity? Because they can't give you anything spiritual. You get it? Durga Devi is Durga Devi. What is Durga Devi's position? What is she? Yeah, Krishna's energy. Then the Gita is explained. We'll explain everything from Bhagavad Gita. And in the 14th text, you'll see, Devi esa guna maya, mam maya jurachaya, mam evaye prabhajanti, maya mecham tarantite. This divine energy of mine is very difficult to overcome. But those who are surrendered unto me can cross beyond it, can easily cross beyond it. So this divine energy, this Maya, is very strong. Like we have one girl who came to the temple. We met her at Durban Westville University here. we come here twice, at least twice a week, or we come to this campus. And I asked her why she took to Krishna consciousness, why she's like attracted to it. She reckoned, she's an African girl. She reckoned she was too much under the control of Maya or Durga Devi, the material energy. How's that for an answer from a Zulu person? You get it? So you're under that control. You know, I wanted to bring them here, but it didn't work out. But it, you know, when you're under the material energy, it's very difficult to get out. Very difficult. Okay, so what can Durga Devi give you? She'll give you all those facilities for material enjoyment. Maya, material. But that same, what she's giving you is entangling you, putting you in prison. Do you want to be in prison? So, if you don't want to be in prison, then you have to make friends with the person who's in charge of the prison. Durga Devi is like the prison warder. She's the warder. Get it? And she is there, her job is there to punish you in the prison. So in this material world, you get punished. Isn't it? Like you're trying to do so many things in this material world. Even if you want to become the richest man, and you become the most famous person, it'll all bring you pain. Even if you have lots of money, what are you going to do with it? How many rotis can you eat? Even if you have a lot of money. Isn't it? How many rotis can you eat? Even if you have a lot of money. So the thing is, Durga Devi is a prison warder. And you find she has many weapons. See? And if all the weapons can't get you, the tiger will get you. The tiger will get you. So therefore, Krishna is saying, okay, you want to worship Durga, then I'll make your faith steady in that. No problem. So you become, we have done these things, we know what it is, we have done all this. But if you still have attachment for Durga, okay, worship Durga. But understand that Durga is an energy of God. It's a material energy. Just like Krishna is the spiritual energy, but Maya is the material energy. But it's the same energy that's working differently. Just like this fan is running, it's cooling us. Or this fridge is here, the power is running, the energy is running, it's cooling all the, whatever you have in the fridge. I don't know what you have, but whatever you have, it's cooling it. But at the same time, when you're cooking, that same energy is there, but it's different. It's the same energy, but working differently. So Krishna's energy is one, but it's material. When it's in this material world, it's material energy. You get it? So it's for your punishment. Now, you don't want to go to jail. Have you been to this Westville prison? Oh. If you go there, nobody is guilty. Not one person is guilty. They'll say, he's framed, he's put into prison. Nobody is guilty in the prison. I've been there. You know? So it's like that. So you want to become free from that prison, from that suffering. See, she's holding Trishul. What that stands for? Different type of miseries, 3 types of miseries. Adidevik, adibhotik, adiatmik. Miseries caused by other living entities, miseries caused by the mind, miseries caused by devatas themselves, earthquakes, all these different things. This is the material world. Once I was sitting in the temple and I was chanting, and all of a sudden there was a tremor. It was like the whole temple going to come down. Just for like maybe a second or 2 seconds. It was terrible tremor. So we are under these, we don't want these things. So it's not wrong if you have attachment, then Krishna will make your faith steady. And you'll carry on worshipping him and you'll remain in the material world. And then he goes on to explain that yes, more about the devatas. Every way there's about the devatas, and last week we touched on from one angle, and it says here, those whose intelligence is stolen by material desires, those people's intelligence are stolen by material desire, surrender unto the devatas and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. So it's always going to be like that. Some people will be attracted, and it's okay. But remember that when you leave this world, you're going to that particular planet. And then you suffer all over again, and you're put in the earth planet. Do you know come back? No, then you have to surrender to Krishna. We are not saying you must surrender. We're saying you decide. How that sounds? Fair, right? Generally, Hare Krishna devotees are very pushy. They'll say surrender to but no. Because Krishna is not going to force you to surrender to him. Is that okay? He goes on to explain more things, much more. It says, men of small intelligence surrender unto the demigods. Not only applicable to men now, it's applicable to females also. Okay, so it's applicable to both, yeah. Surrender to the devatas. And their fruits are limited and temporary. It's very temporary. And then what happened? Those who worship demigods go to that planet, to the planet of the devatas, to Surya, to Chandra, to Surya Bhagwan, Chandra. You go to these different planets, and then you'll come back to Earth planet. And nobody wants to come back. Isn't it? Who wants to come back to this world? Okay, so it's like that. Is it answers your question?
Yes, it did.
Yeah. So it's sufficient. It's like, yeah, there's quite more to it. Yeah. So it depends, what consciousness you're going to leave this world when you enter the heavenly planets. Heavenly planets are not spiritual planets. Heavenly planets are planets where the enjoyment is greater. See, like you're enjoying here in this material world, what's there? But in the higher planets, they enjoy 100 times more. And the people are very attractive. They're not going to beauty parlors and all. They're much more attractive. Seriously. Quite seriously, because it's a fact. If you think you're trying to make yourself beautiful when you're 93 years old, I don't know what good you're going to do to decorate this body, but the body is finishing. It's failing. Okay, is that okay, Mataji?
Yes.
Anybody else would like to ask your viewers today? Vinesh, you want to say something? Huh? Come sit in the front here.
First time coming out, it's very more time. Namaste.
Okay.
Sorry, I came in here.
Oh, okay.
In
Yeah.
fact, I'm living a very hard life for a caregiver. My mother is 91 years old.
Oh, that's
I'm
good.
63 years old, brain is shut. I look at the sound.
You're 63.
I'm overcoming, I'm still working. Trying to find peace. Good friend, I'll be coming with you more.
Yeah, please come, because if you come, this will change for
No,
you.
nothing can. No doctors can cure my mother. My mother has got a double diagnosis. And it's tough for her. It's tough. That's why I
Yeah.
could find a peace. My son has a job. What? Who is this? Me. I'm I'll be joining our bus.
Yeah, now come join us. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Sorry.
Hare Krishna. Good. See, you can see he was a perfect example. His mother is 91, he said. You know? And he's suffering. It's a material world. Anybody else on this evening? We can do some verses from the Gita, from the 12th chapter, but maybe, I've got this one open, so I'll speak from that, right? From the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, see, there's the middle 6 chapters are very important. From 7 to 12 are like the chapters that you all should understand deeply. This is a way, it will take us hours to go through this thing. But if each verse you have to understand it very deeply. It's not that simple. Because that is why when we ask you, if you read it and what is your conclusion, and many people can't explain it. But the reason is, when they start reading it, they stop reading it after first, second, third chapter. Most of them. Most of them. Is that not right? After you read 1 or 2 chapters, you say, what is this chapter? We're talking about fighting, war, all this. And you just leave it. But the middle 6 chapters are key. And we want to touch on a very important subject on that, on the 12th chapter, where Arjuna is raising a question. Which is considered more perfect? Those who always properly engage in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? You understand what this is? So Arjuna is saying, whether devotional service is perfect, or those people who worship God, energy, meaning the impersonal aspect of God. It's like I'm telling you that God does not have a form. You believe that? He has a form or not? No form. Why no form?
None of us have met God.
Oh really? Not you. You asked everybody.
Yes. Be sure about that.
Did you ask everybody this? Huh? No. And if I tell you if I met God, will you believe it? You won't believe it. So yeah, so that's the question. Then your question is not a good question, because if I tell you I met God and if I describe Him, you won't know Him. You get it? Like one fellow asked me, did you see God? I said, yes. Every day in the whole day we see God.
Yes.
Every day. We see Krishna. You get it? So seeing God, now God has a form. And here in the purport, Krishna or Prabhupada is explaining the personal aspect of God and the impersonal aspect. So many people believe that God doesn't have a form. He doesn't have a material form. He has a form, but it is spiritual. That makes sense, Mataji? So you believe that God has a form. See, for argument's sake, if you say God doesn't have a form, it will mean that you're greater than God because you have a form. You understand the point? So you have to, unpack that. Yes, God has a form, and He's personal. You can have a relationship with Him. It's like I'm telling you to fall in love with somebody in maybe China or something. I hope not China, but anyway, let's say China. In China, and you don't know that person at all. You'll say he's got no form. Will you have a relationship with him? No. You won't. Because he doesn't have a form, isn't it? You can't, but when somebody starts describing, let's say for example from a boy's perspective, say there's a beautiful girl there, she has blue eyes and black hair, curly hair and all, then he starts like thinking, hey, who's this person? Isn't it? Now I'm giving you from this like very layman term. Then you start thinking about that person, thinking, then what happens to you? There's an urge now to meet this person. Isn't it? Am I right or wrong? Tell me. You want to meet this person. Like in, I don't know, now they don't have so much of this pen pals. You have this pen pals. And in one instance, there was one person who like got attracted to somebody just by, like correspondence. But there was some communication between two persons for that to take place. Otherwise it wouldn't have taken place. You agreed? So because they were communicating, then one person got attached to the other person who don't know the person, haven't seen the person. So it's like that. So when you start serving Krishna, that's what happens. And then this question was raised. And then Krishna replies to this question. He says, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshipping me with great transcendental faith are considered to be the most perfect. How that sounds? Sounds good, right? If you fix your mind on his form, and the person is always engaged in worshipping me. Like you worshipping Durga. Durga got form or not? She's there on the altar there. Got form, isn't it? Even politicians, even when they're advertising for themselves for election, they put their picture. Isn't it? Is that picture, the picture is like non-different from the person. Isn't it? It's non-different because if I spit on that picture, will you be happy? Why? It's not you. You get the point? So you can understand that picture and you are not different. It's a good example, huh? If somebody spit on your picture, will you be happy? No. What are you doing to me? Isn't it? So that's the point. So the form of Krishna, or just like you're talking about Devatas, Brahma experienced, he describes the form of Krishna, how he looks, his curly hair, his triple bending form, so very nice, he's playing his flute. It's all described in the Brahma Samhita, and that's only one chapter, of that scripture, because the others is lost. But the one chapter that describes that spiritual world, how it is, how Goloka Vrindavan is, how Krishna is in that planet, how you can go there. It's all the descriptions are given, but if you read it and you start serving Krishna, you develop that attachment, then you can go there. Is that okay? You all agree with that? Okay, we're moving on to the next verse. There's not many verses in this chapter, that's why I thought maybe it was good. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes very nicely, and I'll read it. Sometimes he chants, sometimes he hears or reads books about Krishna, or sometimes he cooks prasadam or goes to the marketplace to purchase something for Krishna, or sometimes he washes the temple or the dishes. Whatever he does not let a single moment pass without devoting his activities to Krishna. Such action is in full samadhi. So remember, at this point, when you're fixing your mind, it's your internal senses. So it's not easy to fix your mind, fix your mind on Krishna, because it's an internal sense. But when you start doing things, like you start cooking, how do you feel when you're cooking for Krishna? You must try cook for Krishna and you offer him. Krishna, this is what I made. Even if you're not a vegetarian, the days you cook, you offer it to Krishna. Please accept this. Okay, he'll accept it. And then you taste it, it's different. It's very different. So like that, so Arjuna, he became excited. He thought, well, of this two, this devotional service, this bhakti, this love, is superior. So he got a little excited. But those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such persons engaged in the welfare of all at last achieve me. So meaning that even if one worships that impersonal form, but sometime by good fortune, he may come in contact with a pure devotee. You know? Like we not so pure, we come into this campus, we're meeting so many people, and people are connecting with us and they're becoming devotees. Like the one boy comes here, that's Sia Bongo. We met him here in the campus here. And he's chanting 16 rounds. He's putting dhoti and kurta, he got tila. How that sounds? For a Zulu person. And today I was teaching him how to do the arti. And he's very involved, you know. He's already got so involved. And he's staying there. So yes, you know, you meet a devotee, and then the devotee changes the course. But for those people who are attached to this like impersonal aspect, for them advancement is very troublesome, as Krishna is saying. To make progress in this discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. And it's very, very difficult for people who are impersonalists to fix the mind on something. It's very difficult. And then, there's many things, you know, that we could discuss, but we don't have the time. You know, when God descended in the human form, in this form of Krishna, then many fools deride him, as he explains. Avajananti mam mudha. In the 9th chapter, text 11 of Bhagavad Gita. Avajananti mam mudha. Fools deride me when I descend in this human form. So they cannot understand that this is the form of Krishna. Then next, Krishna goes on to talking more about bhakti. You know, what happens if you engage in this devotional service? And I'll read this verse. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service, and always meditating upon me, have fixed their minds upon me, O son of Prita. For them I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. So Krishna will deliver you from the ocean of birth and death if you focus on him. Like getting up in the morning, chanting, offering some bhoga to him, thinking of him, hearing about him. And you can do that, you all can do that, isn't it? You get up in the morning, what people are listening to so many different things. I mean, I don't know what you listen to, what the radio, I don't know what they have on the radio now. I really don't know. But whatever they have is not going to be of too much of benefit to you. So Krishna, you know, he promises he'll personally come and deliver you from this ocean of Maya, this ocean of birth and death, this kingdom of Durga Devi, and take you across. Otherwise, Durga is a prison wall. I say, hey, hold it, you cannot go. You get it? But when you surrender to Krishna, so like that, so then there are 5 verses now that dealing with devotion, and you can see where you fit in. This is interesting, and we'll just go through it quickly. So in the 8th verse, just fix your mind upon me the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. So, fixing the mind on the, you constantly, as you say, constantly remembering Krishna, his exalted position. Now this is a very advanced stage, to fix your mind. And as I said, it's your internal sense. Then on the 9th verse he says, my dear Arjun, O winner of wealth, if you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. So he's gone one step down now. If you cannot do that, then just follow the principles. And then Prabhupada writes that in the purport he says, to practice the regulative principle of Bhakti Yoga, one should, under the guidance of an expert spiritual master, follow certain principles. One should rise early in the morning, take bath, enter the temple and offer prayers and chant Hare Krishna. Then collect flowers to offer to the deity, cook foodstuff to offer to the deity, take prasadam and so on. There are various rules and regulations which one should follow. And one should constantly hear Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam from pure devotees. This practice can help anyone rise to the level of love of God. So you're just following the principle under the guidance of a guru. Because just fixing your mind like that, it's an advanced level. Now we come down. And he said, there's a rule, always remember Krishna and never forget him. This is very important. Always remember Krishna and never forget him. But then, if you can't do this, you can't, think of Krishna, you don't want to do that, then it goes a step down. Now you see it's coming down. It's very interesting, huh? He's not telling you, okay, just only do that. It's bringing you to a level, and you can see where you fit in now. So now, as I'm going down, you may not fit in the two categories. Now listen to this. If you cannot practice the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me. Because by working for me, you'll come to the perfect stage. So we said those verses in the earlier on were dealing with the internal senses. Now we're coming to external senses, using your hands and like that. You get it? Now you can do that maybe. He says, and Prabhupada, and I'll just read one verse. And this platform, this particular platform, is that, you're attached to the work, but you may not be attached to the results of that work. You get it? Like you're earning the money and you give it to Krishna, you give it, even in our own family tradition, when we should get wages, we will leave it by the Lakshmi place. Isn't it we do that? We will leave it because we know that we have to offer. And then we take in use for what our needs are. So Nishkam Karma Yoga means you may be attached to the work, but you're not attached to the results or the fruits of that work. So you may, let's say you're not on that stage now. But Prabhupada says, and listen to this, if one has sufficient money, he can help in building an office or temple for propagating Krishna consciousness. Or he can help with the publication. There are various fields of activity, and one should be interested in such activities. If one cannot sacrifice the results of his activities, the same person can still sacrifice some percentage. Maybe even 10 Rand or whatever it is a month. Some percent to propagate Krishna consciousness. This voluntary service to the cause of Krishna consciousness will help one to rise to a higher state of love of Godhead, whereon one becomes perfect. You get it? So that's Nishkam Karma Yoga. So he sacrificed some percentage. But what if you can't do that? Then you got one step down. I can see that probably you're in a couple of steps. You're doing a little of each. You get it? So now we're going down back. What can we do if we're unable to act on the above stage, on this what we discussed? So if, however, you're unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act giving up all the results of your work and try to be self-situated. And Prabhupada writes, and then he says, it may be that one is unable even to be sympathetic with is unable even to sympathize with the activities of Krishna consciousness because of social, familial, or religious considerations, or because of other impediments. For one who has such a problem, it is advised that he sacrifice the accumulated result of his activity for some good cause. Such procedures are described in the Vedic rules. Thus one may gradually become elevated to the stage of knowledge. It is also found that when one is not even interested in the activities of Krishna consciousness, give charity to some hospital or some social institution. How does one benefit? Is there some benefit? Because he's thinking that if I give charity to the poor, then I'll go back to God. Not really so, but you still benefit. And he says he gives his hard-earned results of his activity. This is also recommended here because by practice of giving up the fruits of one's activities, one is sure to purify his mind gradually. See, because to give is not an easy thing. But when you start, just like if I ask you 100,000 rand, will you give? No, just like that. Like we went to one lady and we're wealthy billionaires, and we told her we want 500,000. We want to put this, slabbing in Richards Bay in our temple. And she's considering it to give it to us for 500,000. Right? And then it says, then because you're doing that, you give your hard-earned money, your mind gets purified. So it gradually brings you forward. Are you on that level? See the different levels now, where are you? So then by purified state of mind, one becomes able to understand Krishna consciousness. So like this, we're going down to the different levels. It's from one level to the next. And then in text 12, if you cannot take to this practice, then engage yourself in the cultivation of knowledge. If for argument's sake, these all what Raghunath Bhatta told you now, I can't do it. It's okay. Now that Krishna is saying, if you cannot do that, then you start getting knowledge. Because better than knowledge, however, is meditation. And then better than meditation is renunciation of the fruits of action. For by such renunciation, one can attain peace of mind. So when you start getting knowledge, you're getting closer to God. Like what we were describing earlier on, the practice of Nishkam Karma Yoga. Where you attach to the work, but you're not attached to the fruits. So the knowledge here that Krishna is talking about, to get this knowledge means the difference between the soul and the body. This is what he's speaking of. Closer. And then slowly you meditate, and then you come to the point where you come to the point of understanding the super soul in the heart. Where Krishna is situated in the heart. Sarvasya cham hindi sane vishtu matasmitir jnanam aparat. I'm seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. And it's amazing, and even in forgetfulness, you can remember God, because it's coming from God. You got it? This I was looking at to mark this Bhakti Sastri papers, Raja Shekhar. Some places they left it blank. I was looking through it last night. So then I realized, I'm thinking, not that they don't know it. It's just that Krishna don't want to tell them. That's why you have to look at it. It's not that they don't know it, but Krishna just don't want to remind them or tell them. They've gone through it, they have this knowledge, but he doesn't want to tell them. So like this, gradually you slowly come up and you take to Krishna consciousness and you come to realization of the super soul. Then the super soul will say, oh, okay, you have come to this point, now I want you to, because you have this strong desire to worship the impersonal form of God, he may direct you to Islam. Like that. You get it? That's how you get impersonal. But you have strong desire to worship Krishna in his spiritual form, you say, all right, come to this Hindu temple here. What is this Westville temple here in Westville campus? Come here. You'll be directed there. Like this person here just met Niren Prabhu outside there, and he came. You got directed. You see how practical this is. So you got directed, but from who told you? Super soul from within. Right away. You get it? It's like, dogs are born, puppies are born blind, but they know where the nipples are for the mother. Who's directing them then? Who? Krishna. So it's like that. So then again, there's so much theories and so much of philosophy you can discuss. But then Krishna gives you that opportunity to choose. And now, this is the 11th one, and we moved on to the 12th one. And slowly, we went lower and lower and lower. And you can put yourself in any one of these. How does that sound? What do you think? You're in one of these, right? But you may be in a mix, because you're so mixed, you're not on that highest level. Probably you're in the lower levels. But you can climb up that ladder. See, it's not that what Hindus do is wrong. It's just that, people don't have an understanding. Isn't it? Just like it's the ladder. All the rituals we do is not wrong. But it's on the lower rung of the ladder. You're still on the ladder, but you're on the lowest rung. You still have to climb the ladder. So you're right at the bottom, from animal life, now you took to a little bit spiritual life. It's very interesting, like most of you have done, some sort of worship, katha, jhanda, all these different things. Priests are talking. But within all that talking, there's some worship of Vishnu. Something. They'll still worship Vishnu. They'll tell Paramatma's name. Not the name. Her name is Paramatma. Paramatma. They'll talk about Paramatma. Vishnu. So gradually they rise to that platform of worshipping Vishnu. So it's a very gradual process. And gradually you come to that level. But then, it's left unto the individual where, where he want to situate himself. It's totally your choice. So as you move from animal life to human life is doing all the ritual. That's human life. Anybody not doing those rituals, they're not on the human form of life. If they're not, in different cases they realize Krishna, then they'll be following up, they'll be on a higher level. But if they haven't, and if the human form of life begins there, on the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas, where whatever you do, you want something in return. And gradually you navigate yourself to the highest, to Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is like going through the elevator, and all these other aspects that we're talking about is like you're taking the stairway and going. Which one you want to take? When you go to a building, you take the stairs. Sometimes you do that. Maybe due to COVID or something, you want to take the stairs. But do you like taking the stairs? No. Isn't it? You'd rather press the elevator, press the button, 9th floor, and you're gone. So then, this chapter rounds off, and we'll round it off. This chapter is talking about all the qualities that a person should have. It develops. Because he comes back, because pure devotional service, when you're in love with God, these are some of the qualities you have. Isn't it? I know you all can give, you all have some good quality, right? But for other people, you all know they have some bad qualities. When you're talking about somebody else, like, what is a bad quality that you see in other people? Give me one example. Gossip. Anything else? Huh? Disrespectful. Bad quality. What other bad quality? Selfishness. So Krishna in the last 6 or 7 verses, he starts talking about the qualities of a person. Because when you do these activities, when you on the level of a pure person, these are some of the qualities. I'll just read it, right? And just take notice of them. In the final one who is not envious, but is kind friend to all living entities. He's not envious. That's an important quality. What's envy now? Tell me envy, what's envy? What is envy? Jealous of somebody. What else? I want what you have. So these are not good qualities. Because if you yourself, like we, you saw the Hare Krishna people, we're not disturbed. We get up in the morning, we're not worried about, food or things like that. We get enough prasadam. We're not short of prasadam. Nothing we short of, but we're not working. Then people say, oh, but you all are not working in your, how are you managing? How you get all these things? You're flying overseas. How are we doing all these things? Isn't it? People wonder. But the thing is, because we surrender to Krishna. Because we're telling you, surrender to Krishna, you can have the same facility. Will you do it? No, you don't want to do it. But then you become envious of us. Isn't it? So envy, one who is not envious, but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego. Because people sometimes, ego means you identify with the body. That's false ego. And you identify the body, I'm such and so person, I have such and such a position in this, a particular department, I'm the head of this department. How people are proud of their position. But that's false ego. So how are you going to become pure ego? So that when pure ego means when you identify with the spirit that I'm a spirit soul, this is my body, and I'm meant to serve Krishna. That's pure. So then he says, who is equal in both happiness and distress. That's not an easy thing. He's equal to both. How does that sound? These are some of the qualities when you're becoming purer. Then he says, who is tolerant, is always satisfied, self-control, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind intelligent and fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. So this is, and then he goes on 15. I'll just read the verses, few verses, 4 verses, and just see. He for whom no one is put into difficulty, and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me. You know, sometimes like you want other people to go through some difficulty, isn't it? Misery loves company, yes. Is that not true? You're telling, hey, that fellow said such and such a thing, I hope something happened to him. Isn't it? You're thinking like that. Prabhuji? How are you? You know when I met him? How many years now? 25 years. I gave him a book, Science of Self-Realization. Yeah. In Reservoir, is it Reservoir? Yeah. That road is on the right-hand side, I think. It was, when you're going down, it was the right or right? Right-hand side. Yeah. So it's like that, you know. My devotee who is not dependent on ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pain, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me. So these are some of the qualities. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, nor neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things. Such a devotee is very dear to me. So to become dear to God means to get good qualities. That's what it means. And those good qualities come when you serve Him. Like when you serve a person, if you serve a politician, you'll become a politician. You know? You'll develop those qualities. But when you serve a pure person, a sadhu, then you develop these qualities. And it happens automatically. You're not working towards it. It's not happening automatically on its own. See, to develop this thing, it's a very funny way. You have to serve people who are free from vice. And by serving people who are free from vice, you gain the affinity to hear this message of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So when you're serving people like that, you're developing these qualities. And it says, one is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me. So if you develop this quality, you'll become very dear to Krishna, and you won't take birth again in this world. You won't. You won't take birth again. I was I was just explaining the other day about, I was on the plane, we were coming from India, and one man seated next to me, and he's sitting with his brother, they were from Amsterdam or something, and they were talking like anything, and the one person is ordering for liquor, and the other person is ordering for his cold drinks. They were two brothers, but they were different. So I asked the one who was ordering the drinks, I asked him, do you believe in God? He said, no, I've never been to a church. I don't believe in God at all. So I said, where are you going now? He said, I'm going to see my father. He's about to leave this world. So I said, there's somebody else in charge then. If he's going to leave this world, who's in charge? Somebody else. There's another controller. And you're not in that, not under your control. You can't change that. Oh, interesting, So the thing is, we're all under the control of God. So if we surrender, we start developing these qualities, and Krishna ends this particular verse, the last verse, he said, those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. And there's an Acharya who comments on this, and I'll read it. This Acharya says how this thing comes, which I was explaining all the while. He says, These characteristics that arise in one from devotion and from peacefulness are not material qualities. This is in accordance with the statement, Krishna is satisfied only by devotion, never by material qualities. So when you engage in the sadhana bhakti, you will develop this quality. As you serve God, as you serve Him more and more, you develop attachment for Him. Like it's like this, when you love somebody, then you find out everything that he likes. Isn't it? Then you start buying what he likes. And you give him as gift. I don't know when you give him gifts, I don't know, his birthday, Valentine's Day, or whenever you're giving him gifts, or whatever you're doing. But at different stages, you're giving him, you're offering him. And how does he feel? He's very pleased. So similarly, God, Krishna is very pleased. As you do more and more, you develop these qualities, and then you go back to Godhead. And Prabhupada concludes this chapter. He said, in this chapter, from verse 2 to the end of the Supreme Lord is explained the process of transcendent service for approaching Him. Such processes are very dear to the Lord, and He accepts a person engaged in them. The question of who is better, one who is engaged in the path of impersonal Brahman, meaning he is the impersonalist, and one who is engaged in personal service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was raised by Arjuna. And the Lord replied to him so explicitly that there is no doubt that devotional service to the Personality of Godhead is best of all process of spiritual realization. So become a personalist. Thank you. So any questions or comments? We have a few minutes and we can conclude. Anything that you'd like to ask or what you think about what we just discussed? This is the 12th chapter. We just ran through it, but you have to do it in detail. It'll take some time. Any comments or anybody wants to ask anything? In the back? No one? Okay. So you will surrender to Krishna and take it more seriously. See, we covered this whole chapter in a very simple way in a short time. And you can do this to the whole Bhagavad Gita. We can overview it quickly, the whole in like one sitting. You do the whole chapter in one sitting. Then you'll have a good understanding, and then you get into it after that, verse by verse. Okay.
Mataji is new, yeah? This is Ganapati. Mataji is for the first time speaking with the husband.
Yeah, well, I've seen him many times.
Mataji, was the class okay?
What you do? Good. Be happy you're a husband. Yeah. Yeah. Very nice. You must, yeah. We pray that you do well. May Lord Krishna bless you a lot. Yeah, because you're sincere, you came to this. Today is Gita Jayanti, and Krishna will reveal everything in your heart, what you must do. Your sincerity. Because we are, it's nice that you have children? No. Okay, but you can, then you have time, you can do other things. You can worship Krishna. May He put you in a good situation to worship Him. Make Him, make Him your son. And you can go home back to Him. Material world is very miserable. No, yeah. work at it. Just chant. Every day you do chanting. You got mala. Huh? Every day you chanting. Oh, but you must get initiated too. It'll be nice if you could, because, I mean, yeah, it's such a, you'll get closer to Krishna. In this lifetime, you can go back to Godhead. Don't worry. You can make it. But just chant seriously, and just follow some of the principles you can offer to Krishna, like we were discussing. Like you can, cook some things and offer it to him. And then there's prayers you have to do, and you say certain prayers, and you offer it to him, and then you have the prasadam, and you see you'll become very, very blissful. Okay, if you need anything, you must ask me. I live in the temple in Chatsworth. Anytime I can help you in any way, please call me. Okay, I'll be ready to come. Yeah. Okay, anything else? We'll stop here, right? Anybody want to add anything? Everybody must become like her now. She's going to be our guru. Huh? Because in all families, wife is guru. Because it's important, because they can know how to run a house, and man, they know how to maintain. In general, sometimes it's a little different for some people, but in general. All right. So I think we'll do some. What are we going to do now? Some chanting.
Yeah, we can do chant.
Kirtan. So we're going to do a kirtan, but you just move these chairs. Everybody's going to come forward. We're going to chant Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki.